Welcome to the Celebrity Love Show. Today's celebrity is Madonna. That's right, the great Madonna. I'll be going over all of her past relationships as well as provide my final thoughts. So let us go ahead and begin, shall we? All right. So let's go ahead and check her status. She is an amazing 67 years old, but not married. But don't let that mislead you because she definitely went through plenty of relationships. It's been a long time coming. In fact, it's going to be the longest list that we've seen in this series by far. My goodness. You want to talk about a bullet train? This is beyond bullet trains, as we've heard in previous shows. This is lightning. Lightning in a bottle. All right. So, first things first. We're beyond counting numbers here. No offense to Madonna, but my goodness. I mean, she's 67 and still dating, which we'll go over. Kudos for that, but it's a mighty sad story if you ask me. Let's go over her dating history. It does no good to just start labeling by numbers right here as far as candidates, because her first widely public relationship comes after these four gentlemen here, starting off with Norris Burroughs from around 1979 to 1980, so about a year. She was around 21 to 22 years old. All right, so a boyfriend from her early struggling days in New York City took early photos of her. Okay, we don't really know anything about Norris. That's why these are little mini snippets here. Dan Gilroy, a musician, around 1980 to 1981. All right, so you see, there's the bullet train. That's why I don't promote dating. Look at this. I mean, I'm not being brutal here. I'm just saying this is how it starts. This is the snowball effect. You start out as a little itty bitty snowball, and many people defend this. They're like, yeah, go out on a bunch of dates, live la vida loca. That's not happiness, people, but look, just take close note. Just take a close note how we end up at 67 years old and technically still single, okay? Dan Gilroy, 1980-1981, another one-year relationship, around 22-23. A bandmate in Breakfast Club, okay? A relationship tied to her first serious music group, okay? But here we go with the bullet train, 1982. All right, age 23 to 24, a DJ, Mark Kamens, who got her demo to Sire Records. I don't know if that's Siren Records. Could be Sire. Brief romantic involvement at the moment of her big break. All right. This is moving on up with her profession, her career, right? So John Jellybean Benitez, a DJ producer, another one. I don't know. I don't know about these relationships. I mean, hey, she's dating people within her, the business that she works in. Okay. Maybe it's because they're like-minded. There's nothing wrong with that, but I don't know. I mean, these are a bunch of flings in my opinion. But let's go ahead and see what happens next. I mean, keep in mind, we started at around 21 years old that we know of. And we're already around 24. So 3 years dating 3 different people. Pretty fast. Moving on to John Jellybean Benitez at 25 around. Most significant pre-fame partner. Produced her early hits and helped define her sound. And now the relationship ended. We do know why. This is the only one we do know why in her dating record here. Evolved into a professional partnership as her stardom took off. Okay, so now we're going to move into the most widely publicized relationships, and boy, is it a doozy. Starting off with Sean Penn, actor. Okay, now she dives deep with her first marriage. 1985 to 1989, only 4 years. They divorced later. Well, it's just skipping the friendship phase. I mean, it's crazy. It really is. So Madonna was 27. Sean was 25. A fiery, explosive marriage between two superstars at their peak. It was marked by intense passion, his well-documented jealousy, and the unbearable pressure of dual fame. Is it really pressure? Who cares? If it's love, it's love. Stay together. You know, this is already we're with, in my opinion, the first lousy excuse. So why it ended? Of course, irreconcilable differences. The distant media siege and Penn's volatile temper. Okay, that is a legit reason. That's not ridiculous. Including a 1987 arrest for assaulting a photographer made the marriage unsustainable. Well, if there's a bad temper, that could turn pretty abusive. You know, if the fists start pointing at her, right? So Madonna said, I was in over my head. I think we both were. It was like setting two volcanoes next to each other. And then Sean said, I was very in love with her, but I was also very immature. Okay, at least he admits it, right? The press made it a kind of sport to try to get a rise out of me, and I played into it. Okay, pretty truthful. But nonetheless, it ended. Good thing they didn't have children together, because that would have made it worse. Moving on to Warren Beatty, an actor-director. So they dated from 1989-1990. No marriage here. So Madonna was 31. Warren was 52. Keep in mind, Madonna's already 31. That's a decade of failed relationships. You know, it's just, that's why you can't be a bullet train. But you'll see later on, she's like lightning here. Okay, so Warren, a high-profile mentor-like relationship during the filming of Dick Tracy. I remember Dick Tracy. That was an interesting movie. Hollywood's legendary bachelor was famously depicted as bemused and exasperated by her calculated control in the Truth or Dare film. So why the relationship ended? A natural conclusion after the film's promotional cycle. Their lifestyles and generational differences were too vast. That's interesting. I mean, Warren's 52. That explains it. It's about a 20-year difference. Doesn't mean the relationship can't work out, but it's a bit different when the guy's older than the girl, or the woman in this case. It's a bit different. Because if it was an older woman, if the guy's a real gentleman, it doesn't really matter. But she has to keep pace with him. When you have a relationship when your partner is 20 years or more older, they have to keep pace with you. Doesn't matter if it's an older guy or an older woman. They have to keep pace with the younger one. And the younger one has to quickly mature. Otherwise, it's not going to work out. It's extremely difficult to synchronize the age differences. I agree, age is just a number. But sometimes it really matters. You have to make it just a number. Because if you allow it to control you, your age, the generation you came from, all that mental and emotional conditioning, it doesn't synchronize well with a new generation. A person coming from a newer generation. And that's a tough task. It really is. There's power struggles. There's differences in opinions and beliefs. It doesn't matter. Because true love melts it all together, regardless of how old, who is who. It doesn't matter. Regardless, what you got to learn how to leave conflicting beliefs, thoughts, and emotions, past, failed relationships, all that baggage, you got to leave it alone. If you want it to work, especially with such an age gap of decades older, you got to drop a lot of that unnecessary baggage. Otherwise, it's going to destroy your relationship. So Madonna and Warren, it just didn't work out. Look at that. So they're talking about generational differences as I'm discussing here. Madonna said on him in Truth or Dare, okay, he doesn't want me to do this. He thinks I'm exposing myself. Well, I am. And Warren says she's a great director of herself. I was just a supporting player in the movie of her life at the time. That's kind of interesting. Doesn't tell us much of anything. But yeah, it's too much of a difference. Well, it only lasted 1 year. So let's go ahead and move on because there's so much more to go over here. So Tony Ward, a model actor, another 1 year relationship, still on that bullet train. Madonna was 32 and Tony was 25. No, she was 32. Okay, so a bit older than Tony at 32. So a highly visual, eroticized relationship. Ward was the muse and star of her Justify My Love video, embodying the androgynous, BDSM-inspired aesthetic of her erotica era. Yeah, she was very controversial back then. So why it ended, described as a passionate but ultimately fleeting artistic and physical connection. Ward was not seeking the global fame that came with dating her. Okay, but that comes with the package. What did you expect? I mean, come on, Ward. Tony. Come on, man. You didn't know you're getting with Madonna here. Alright, so no widely published direct quotes from Ward about the relationship because his acknowledgement of their time to... Okay, well, that's all we have, unfortunately. So, 1 year fling. Let's go ahead and mark it up. Chalk it up to that. Next in line is Carlos Leon, or Leon. So, 1994 to 1997, at least for a few years, Madonna was 36, Carlos was 28. Okay, so she's still the older one. That's quite interesting. I mean, ever since that last relationship with the 2 decades, older difference, looks like now she has the upper hand. Maybe that's why. She's probably concerned to date somebody much older than her. Who knows? We'll find out later. So a more grounded private relationship with Carlos during her Evita era. Leon was a stabilizing normal figure in her life after the scandals of the early 90s. Well, I guess you can call them scandals. But I mean, it's just kind of just poor choices, really. So why it ended, they amicably split, but remain close, dedicated co-parents. So here comes the children. A daughter, Lourdes Lola Leon, in 1996, in the middle of the relationship. So Carlos said, "We have a beautiful daughter together, and that's the most important thing. We've always been friends." Well, a 3-year relationship with a daughter in the mix. That's quite unfortunate. That relationship should have worked out. But, the price is what the children have to pay, unfortunately. But, at least it's an amicable situation, so that's the only good news. All right, so moving on to Guy Ritchie, a director, dated from 1999 to 2000. What a bullet train. Okay, so they got married in 2000 to 2008. All right. Well, that's a little bit of good news, right? That means an 8-year marriage. Madonna was 42 and Guy was 32. All right, that's a bigger gap. That's a 10-year difference. It really looks like she doesn't want to ever go back to a situation where the guy is much older than her. All right, so that's a matter of preference and experience. A major lifestyle shift with Guy Ritchie. She moved to the English countryside, embraced Kabbalah, and attempted a more traditional family life, which was documented in her film I'm Going to Tell You a Secret. Okay. So why it ended? I mean, this is a row, a divorce, right? Citing irreconcilable differences, of course. Reported reasons include clashing careers, that's typical. His desire to stay in London, making British films, her global touring commitments, creative differences, and a fundamental lifestyle mismatch. Well, I mean, you guys decided to get married, my goodness. So Madonna said, "I learned a lot about myself in England, but in the end, we wanted different lives." And Guy said, "When you get divorced, it's shit, but we've got 2 great kids, and that's the priority." Wow. All right. So the second and third children here. So a son, Rocco Ritchie, in the year 2000. They also adopted son David Banda. Well, that's pretty nice to adopt. And 2005. All right. So technically 2 children, but obviously there's 3 because adoption counts. But meaning that Madonna had 2 children. All right. So that's interesting. But yeah, another sad case because Yeah, when you decide to have children together, it really should be the one and only, but irreconcilable differences. I mean, this is why you don't get married to somebody until you know them inside and out. Yes, sex before marriage, but I mean, I'm talking about becoming best friends, and then you guys can become boyfriend, girlfriend, and then see if you guys are ready for marriage. But it's a long process. But when you rush things like this is what you get. A series of tripping on yourself everywhere you go. All right, so the next relationship, this one's very important. Akeem A.J. Morris, who's a backup dancer. Keep this guy's name in mind. So they dated in 2008. Madonna was 50, the big 50. Can you believe it? We're already at age 50. Remember, people, we started in the 20s. She was 20-something. Now we're already at 50. And the marriages just didn't work. AJ was 21. You know, this is what we're noticing. Madonna keeps going higher and higher with the age difference. Now, she's much older, my goodness. Pretty much 30 years. I'm not sure what she's looking for here, but it looks like flings. So, a brief post-divorce fling, there you go, with one of her backup dancers from the Sticky and Sweet tour immediately following her split from Guy Ritchie. Alright, so it's kind of like a rebound effect. So why it ended, a short-lived transitional connection. But keep Akeem in mind. He's going to be a key figure in the end. Next one in line, Jesus Luz, a model DJ. Alright, so... Alright, let's go ahead and see what happens here. I don't know if this is the first DJ. Probably not. Alright, so 2008 to 2010. Madonna was 50, again, and Jesus was 22. The same type, wow, the same age. Wow, this is crazy. It's like Akeem all over again. What is going on here? That's quite remarkable. Wow. All right, another 30 years difference relationship, a controversial age gap relationship that began shortly after her divorce. Luz, a Brazilian model, was catapulted to international fame. So why it ended? The significant age difference, well, it could have worked out, but it takes a man who's passionately in love in that case. There's nothing wrong with an older woman. There really isn't. But like I said before, she's got to be on your level passionately. She can never lose that youth from within. It sounds like a burden, but it's possible. You know, when they talk about cougars, no, it's possible. But you got to be a cougar forever, to the end. And then that young lion that you're with, he has to grow up to be a powerful lion and be a lion forever. It's always mutual. It doesn't matter the age difference. I know it's brutal, but that's how love works. All right, so the significant age difference in different life stages, well, that goes hand in hand with age, doesn't it? Well, she's a global icon and a mother. He is a young model. Ultimately ended the romance. No, that just means there's no spice. There's no passion. You can't just blame it on age. It can work out. It can, but it didn't. So Jesus said, it was an incredible experience. She is an amazing woman. There you go. So why break up, right? We are still friends. Well, you know, it is what it is. Not everybody can handle the age difference. It takes a lot of maturity and a lot of passion. What can I say? Next in line, Brahim Zaibat, another dancer. Dated from 2010 to 2013. Okay, so Madonna's 52 now. Brahim is 24. My goodness gracious. These 30-year different. She likes him young. She really is a cougar. But a cougar out of control. My goodness. It's just like a freaking tornado with Madonna. Alright, so let's see what happened. Another relationship with a much younger performer. A French dancer. She met during the MDNA tour. So why it ended? Fizzled out after a few years, with sources citing the challenges of their busy schedules, well, that's typical, and different cultural backgrounds. All right, so another fling, right? You know, time keeps passing by. Now we're at with Madonna at 55, getting together at 2013 and 2015 with Timur, who's 26, another much older than the guy. Amazing. And they made a big deal out of other celebrities who were doing this, like Demi Moore with Ashton Kutcher. This one takes the cake. It's not even just one relationship, people. You're talking about multiple back-to-back. I'm 30 years older than you. That's crazy. You know? I don't know what she was looking for here. Why so young? Why so many times? Another age gap relationship that ran its course amicably. She's just messing around. That's what I believe is going on here. I mean, can you really say dated? These are all flings. All right, so the next relationship. Let's see how good I can pronounce this one. Another dancer. Abu Bakr Salmahoro. Try to say that 10 times in a row. So it was rumored. Okay, our first rumored relationship. For 1 year. Well, that's quite a rumor, isn't it? 2015 to 2016. Never officially confirmed by either party, based on paparazzi photos and speculation. Well, you know, this... Maybe there was nothing, but for an entire year? Really? Well, you know what? At best case scenario, she took a year off because she took a break, right? But let's see if that's true. Is it really true? Because next in line, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Sampaio, another model, dated from 2016 to 2019. This is 3 years of her life, people. Madonna is now 58 years old. Kevin was 25. Now we're even more than a 30 years difference. We're at 33 years difference, right? Mike, this is incredible. So why that relationship ended after 3 years? 3 years, okay? Reported to have ended amicably as their lives and their professional paths diverged. Okay. I just don't know what she's looking for with these youngsters. Just one after the other. I don't know what she's looking for. Maybe she's just having fun, as they say. But in my opinion, that's not fun. That's torturing yourself. Because if you're not happy, regardless of the big age gap, if you're not happy with one, then why go with another similar case? You know? It's like ever since she had that relationship with the much older guy, she fell into this, well, I'm going to be the much older one. I don't know. I can't really make any like unfair speculations, but it's just fascinating. This is by far the most fascinating track record for a celebrity with her relationships here. Or any celebrity for that matter. Alright, so another dancer is next in line. Ahlamalik Williams. Dated 2019. Just look at this. Lightning fast to 2023. And this is very recent. Madonna was 61 years old. Entering her 60s, still doing this. Ahlamalik was 26. Go ahead and do the calculation yourself. It's even more. It's much older now. What is she looking for? Her longest post-Ritchie relationship, he was a backup dancer on her Madame X tour and became a constant companion. And it ended because after nearly 4 years, they split for sources citing the age gap. No. You can't use that card. That card is like, it belongs in a thrift store. It's too old. You gotta throw that card in the recycling bin. You can't say the age gap. Stop it. And different long-term goals, you can't use that card either as deciding factors. No, these are just flings. I don't get it. I really don't get it. Let's see if these last two relationships make any type of difference. Oh my goodness, no they don't. Next in line is Josh Popper. 2023 to 2024, so 1 year with the boxing coach. Madonna was 65, and believe it or not, Josh was 30. So, you know, it used to be these 20-year-olds. Now we're dipping into the 30-year-olds or almost 30-year-olds. Okay, so a transitional relationship post Ahlamalik Williams. Can we really say that? Popper was her son David's boxing coach. I think it's comedy at this point, really. I mean, it's so amazing, it's funny. Representing her continued pattern of partnering with younger, you think? Fitness-focused men. Yeah, dancers, DJs, and now boxing trainers. Wow. The relationship ran its course amicably after approximately a year. Of course it did. Madonna said, he's a wonderful positive energy. I bet he was. He's been great for David, and he's got a fantastic spirit. She's just messing around, people. There's no love here. There's a lot of singing. There's a lot of... I don't know. I think she feels empowered by being the much older one and just picking a bunch of younger tigers out there. So Josh Popper said, we have a great connection. She's an incredible person with an incredible spirit. That sounds familiar. Age is just a number. I don't know, is it? I mean, is it at this point? You guys have to tell me in the comment section. I don't know what's going on here. I mean, I kind of do, but what's going on in her mind? Akeem is next in line. Remember Akeem? The dancer, now he's a choreographer at this point. So Akeem A.J. Morris, once again, rekindled and current, so 2024 to present. This is amazing. First dated briefly in 2008. Remember that? Reconnected and rekindled. Okay. So Madonna was 66. People, 66. Akeem was 28. This is all sorts of world records here. A full circle reunion. I hope it is. But is it too little too late, Madonna? Is it? I mean, all that time. I don't agree with that lifestyle. I really don't. Just messing around with all these guys. And then you end up with one of them. This reminds me of Jean-Claude Van Damme, who we just had a show about. This is like similar, but on steroids. Similar, but just it's on turbo right now. Morris was a backup dancer. Right. Remember that. And they reconnected after years apart. So Wyatt's working, reportedly. Maturity, well, that's supposed to have been there the whole time. Shared history and aligned lifestyles. Well, maybe he is more mature, but I mean, he's 28. Is he going to have a midlife crisis and leave Madonna again? I don't know. Many men have their midlife crisis, and, you know, they don't have that maturity that's required, especially being with a 67-year-old woman. Now, age could be just a number for Madonna. You know, she still looks great, but what can I say? I don't know what's going inside her mind, inside her heart. I have no idea. So, life has a funny way of bringing people back, says Madonna. Back to you when the time is right. There's a comfort and a spark with Akeem that comes from knowing someone across chapters of your life. Yeah, but what kind of chapters were they? Really sad chapters. You know? Akeem says, timing is everything. We've both grown so much. You're still young, Akeem. There's a deep understanding and respect now that maybe wasn't possible before. All right, so they're in a stable public relationship. That's to this date. My goodness, this is a lot of baggage for me to handle right here. Let's go ahead and take a look, shall we? My goodness, what can I say? Final thoughts. What a roller coaster. It's not really a roller coaster. It's lightning. It's just lightning, as I said in the beginning of the show. It's not a roller coaster. You know, a roller coaster is extremes, ups and downs. She was just coasting. But the fascinating thing about Madonna, the number one question that I would ask her is, why did you choose to have so many relationships where there's a 30-year gap? You know, I don't understand. You know, it could have been anybody else. I'm not saying you have to you don't have to marry somebody the same age as you. I'm just saying, you know, was it really worth it? That'd be my second question. Was it really worth it in the end? Because if you really do love Akeem right now, I mean, there's no telling how much more, life she has. I mean, she is taking great care of herself. But that's not the point. I'm saying that in life, you only have so much time. You have to you have to get it right as soon as possible. It's nothing to be proud of when you have so many marriages or failed relationships, regardless if you marry or not. It's nothing to be proud of. And it's not even talking about being overrated either. It's just a wrong answer. When people say, I want 31 flavors. Why though? Because I want to know what it's like being with an Asian, a black person, a white person, whatever. If it's not race, it's from an older person, a younger person. Yeah, but why? Well, because I want to see what it feels like. But why? What do you gain from that? It's experience. Well, what kind of experience? You can't clown with me with that. Like, what do you actually learn from that? What do you feel from that? Is it really worth it? It's not. And I think she knows that. You have memories, but think about it. Now you have a bunch of all these different memories. And it's kind of like, now that you're trying to form the final relationship now and forever, it's kind of like, it's just so collaged. Because when you're with somebody, you have to dedicate yourself mentally and emotionally. And so after all of that collage of all these guys, for you to finally say, okay, I'm going to be with you now. I was with you before, by the way. I don't know. It's not transactional. It's just pretty awkward. It's not natural at that point. And it's not like Van Damme. Like I said, Van Damme's case is much way watered down compared to this. Where, he had a previous marriage and then he came back to her. But Madonna had all these other guys and then finally came back to Akeem. It was like, what really is left, though, at that point? You know what I mean? But to each their own. I always have to say that. Whatever your story is, whatever your history is, that's on you. That's your life. That's called freedom. So I'm not judging harshly on Madonna. I'm just saying it makes me sad when I see these cases. And, I'm just kind of like, what were you thinking? Like, when you're young, okay, you want to mess around, go on. We saw all the dates. But when she was dealing with marriage and then dating in between, it's just like, what are you doing? Do you know how beautiful it is to just be with one person and get it right as soon as possible? You know how beautiful that is? Because then when it's all said and done, like 20, 30, 40, 50 years later, you guys can look back and be like, wow, we really did live life to the fullest. But when, you do things this way, it's just like, it leaves you with just like this blank question mark. Like, okay, like you're sweating and you finally caught the next plane. You're like, okay, this is my final destination. It's just kind of like bittersweet, isn't it? I mean, is it sweet at all? I don't know. Only she can say, and Akeem. So I gotta leave it at that. It's pretty unfortunate in my opinion. I don't think that this is as much of a success, in terms of how you spend, your life. If you're going out with so many people, I don't think that's the right way, honestly. And with that, that's all I can say. Not here to tell her that she's right or wrong. Just here to say what I think about her past history. I hope they're, the best for Akeem and Madonna. I really do. I hope it really works out. I hope they really enjoy life together. Because age really is just a number. But is she addicted to going with other younger guys and ending relationships too soon? I don't know. I hope that's not the case. But it's going to take a lot of strength to stay together, I'll tell you that much. We'll keep checking up on Madonna, see if she's still successful with Akeem. I hope she is, I really do. Otherwise, it's back to that lightning bolt, which will be absolutely insane in her 70s and 80s, 90s, 100s, who knows. All right, I got to leave the show right there. That concludes our show for today. Be sure to comment with your own thoughts. This is a wild case, isn't it? And check out my other exciting shows right here. Stay tuned for more celebrity love shows. Actually, we only have one more left, and much love, everybody.